And I'll begin with recognizing the permanent representative and ambassador of Bahamas. Bahamas speaking on behalf of CARICOM. Bahamas, you have the floor.
Mr. Co-Chair, I have the honor to speak on behalf of the 14 member states of the Caribbean Community CARICOM on sustainable cities and human settlements and sustainable transport. We thank the Secretariat for the issues briefs provided to facilitate our discussions, and the panelists yesterday and this morning for their excellent presentations. Mr. Co-Chair, the Caribbean is considered one of the most urbanized regions in the world, and in this context, continues to face the formidable challenges associated with the provision of adequate shelter for all and sustainable human settlements development, including urban vulnerability to climate change impacts, high urban income inequality, and the upsurge of urban slums. Additionally, CARICOM is still suffering from the lingering effects of the global economic and financial crises, which in turn have had negative impacts on national approaches to slum upgrading and urban revitalization, urban planning and design, as well as efforts to provide affordable housing and adequate infrastructure, urban safety and health, sustainable transport and energy, and water and sanitation. For CARICOM, it is important to highlight that while these challenges are perhaps felt most severely at the local level, they require a comprehensive and integrated approach at the international, regional, national, and local levels. This approach should be aimed at achieving poverty eradication and sustainable development, and involve a variety of stakeholders, including the private sector, civil society, foundations, local authorities, and global and regional cities networks. Mr. Co-Chair, in this context, it is our view that sustainable urbanization and transportation should be key components of the post-2015 development agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. The means of implementation and partnerships are critical areas for the realization of any goals or targets on these issues. For sustainable transport in particular, strong partnerships involving all relevant stakeholders at every level should be developed in support of each target agreed in this goal area. This type of coordination is essential for the creation of the type of enabling environment which would facilitate the level of technology transfer, capacity building, and knowledge sharing required to achieve a transformational change in the transport sector within the limited time frame that still remains available to us. To this end, we see great merit in the approach taken in the recommendations of the TST on this issue to focus target areas around existing initiatives and partnerships in support of sustainable transport, and we are in full agreement with the conclusion that major investments are needed to develop new transport approaches and strategies and adjust financial and investment policy climates to support sustainable transport. We would add that the role of education as a key contributor to creating buy-in at the local levels and fostering behavioral changes in attitudes toward transportation could also be addressed in the context of targets developed in this area. Mr. Co-Chair, CARICOM recognizes that many of the issues regarding sustainable urbanization and sustainable transport are cross-cutting in nature and would have bearing on our discussions on health, trade, energy, climate change, and disaster risk reduction, sustainable consumption and production, sustained and inclusive economic growth and infrastructure development and industrialization. Today's discussion provides the opportunity to focus on those issues related to urban sustainability, particularly as it relates issues of critical importance to CARICOM, including reduction of poverty and urban income inequality, slum eradication, and universal access to affordable and quality social services and public utilities, including housing, water, and sanitation, transport, energy, and waste management, urban job creation, particularly for youth and women, urban resilience through risk prevention and management, and environmental sustainability, renewable energy, and recycled waste and improved energy efficiency in city buildings, integrated urban planning and design, and linkages with rural development, including food security. For CARICOM, it is also important to underscore the importance of the development of national statistical systems as it relates to enhancing efforts towards sustainable urbanization specifically, and the elaboration of the post-2015 development agenda in general. Additionally, we must address issues related to institutional strengthening at the local, national, regional, and international levels as we seek to implement any agreed goal, target, or indicator related to urban sustainability. Finally, CARICOM is of the view that we should consider what kinds of partnerships are most appropriate and are likely to be most effective in the context of sustainable urbanization and sustainable transport, particularly as it relates to the involvement of subnational and local authorities. I thank you, Mr. Co-Chair.
I thank the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Bahamas, speaking on behalf of CARICOM.